Hey there, you're listening to BD4, where there's no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis. Yanks every series, Knicks every game, and MMA on occasion. Here's your host, RJ Carbone.
And a high drive in the left center field. Stanley's going to watch another one fly. Are you kidding me? DiVincenzo a three. Bang! Bang! Knicks take a
Take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody.
At the wall. See ya! See ya! See ya! Mr. Nova.
Anthony for three. Bang! That one goes down and the game is tied.
Rose, you shook up the world again.
I did it again. But God did it, man. I really just had
Gonna have to. Brunson running away. Oh my! He has been the best player to put on that uniform.
Ball game over. Yankees win. The Yankees win.
Well. This is what it's supposed to feel like, isn't it? This was the vision. You know, this is what all of us Knicks fans wanted the entire time. This is what we've been missing for most of the season. You know, despite the Knicks consistently winning all year, you know, like they've hung around that number 3 spot all season, there was still something missing. The feeling wasn't there. It wasn't really fun. But now we're starting to have fun. Because we're doing this consistently to good teams. And that's what makes this current 5-game win streak much more impressive than the 9-game win streak they had went on, I think, late December, early January. It's much more, and it's not even close how much more impressive it is. And it's because of the defense, and it's because of the quality of competition. In this 5-game stretch, the Knicks have a defensive rating of 108.6. They beat the Sacramento Kings, who have been playing very good basketball for a bit, by 23 points. They beat the 2 seed at the time, or tied for the 2 seed at the time, Grizzlies, by 37 points. And then you go out there last night and you take down a tough Denver Nuggets team and you beat them by double figures yet again. It was a tight game for a little bit. The Knicks started red hot. Denver made it close for a while again. He was pretty close at halftime. The Knicks got off to a tough start in the second half. The shots just weren't dropping. Denver took an 8-point lead. Third quarter, they took an 8-point lead, and it started to slip away. But I think that's what made this win even more impressive to me. The Knicks were down 8 points in the third quarter to a championship team. And they didn't let that push them down further. They didn't let go of the rope. Earlier in the season, the game ends right there. But Brunson has a big-time third quarter, wheels the Knicks back up. And then you get big minutes early fourth quarter with their first unit on the bench. The second unit comes through. And the Knicks go on to win 122-112 over the Denver Nuggets at Madison Square Garden last night to make it 5 wins in a row, to put them at 32-16 overall, which is a .670 win percentage. And that now has them 1 game back of the Celtics for the 2 seed. While the Knicks have 2 days off, Boston will play tomorrow night at 8 p.m. in New Orleans, so I'll definitely be paying attention to that game. This was a fun win, man. It was a really fun win, and I want to talk about it all in this episode 793. And we'll do that as soon as we get back in less than 30 seconds. Be right back. BD4 is available on social media for those who want to follow. You can find BD4 on Instagram at BD4Pod. You can find us on X at BD4Pod. And you can find us on Facebook by simply searching BD4. All right. I don't know where to start. I think I'm going to start with the defense because the Knicks shut down another top 5 offense last night. The Nuggets couldn't do much on this defense. And in particular, it was Nikola Jokic, who was held to 17 points on 15 attempts, where he only shot 40%. He took 7 3-point attempts, only had 2 free throw attempts, and 6 assists. They kept the Joker quiet, and it was scheme and execution. I thought the Knicks executed Tom Thibodeau's game plan to a T. They gave Nikola Jokic, they threw so many different looks at him, so many different looks on Jokic pick and rolls. They took away the post from him, and they forced him into 3-pointers and jumpers. And it effectively threw him off. They did some switching, which is impressive given Denver's personnel. There was a couple of bad switches very early in the game. Led to some easy baskets and a couple of non-switches on what should have been auto switches. But other than that, I thought the switching was pretty good. Middle of the third quarter, there was that one possession where Deuce McBride switched onto Jokic. He held his own with a very nice contest at the top of the key. Jokic takes a tough fadeaway from the post, misses it. There was another possession that stood out to me middle of the fourth quarter. Mikal Bridges was switched on to Jokic, and he also held his own with a very strong contest on the low post. Jokic misses it, and he turns it over. They were playing some drop on Jokic, which I thought was very smart. Concede the 3 with the drop coverage. That you want Jokic taking threes. And in that fourth quarter, I thought Precious and Towns being in drop forced Jokic into taking some of those long threes from up top. I thought the Knicks defense was good in help on Jokic. There was that one possession in the third quarter. It was early on where Towns is behind and Brunson's underneath the basket. He brings rim help and he contests Jokic's hook shot pretty well. Results in a miss. Just very good. They were chasing him off ball to the 3-point line very effectively. Cat, Brunson, Cat, and Precious. I thought they really made him uncomfortable and did not look like his MVP self. And on the other end too. We'll talk about the offensive attack on him, but I thought the Knicks defense, man, was just very sharp overall. It's been the sharpest and the most in sync yet. And I'm talking lately and last night. There's just been a lot less overcommitting in help. You're not seeing excessive doubles on and off pick and roll. Good help defense, like I said. Late in the first quarter, this was just a really impressive possession that stood out to me. Late in the first, Precious is leveling the screen so he could switch the Jamal Gordon pick and roll. And so now because he's up at the level, he needs help on the roll. And it was Josh Hart to bring early paint help to Gordon, who was rolling, to force the turnover off the roll there. Hart kind of slides over, pokes the ball loose, and the Knicks get it in transition. Really nice job by Hart picking up his teammate. I think the fact that the Knicks are allowing, mismatches like Jalen Brunson to guard one-on-one and not bring help it's been paying off. He's been holding his own lately. Again, he had a stop on Jokic. And when the wings stay home and when they're in the gaps and they're not overcommitting, it's been paying off. Good things happen. And that's why you're seeing the 3-point frequency from the opposing teams lower and lower. The Knicks aren't conceding 3-point looks as much. They're a lot more seamless and in lockstep on their switches. You know, early first quarter, there was that one possession that's kind of going viral on Knicks Twitter right now. It was like 3 switches in one action where Gordon and Jamal attempt DHO on the right elbow. OG switches to Jamal after Mikhail directs the switch. OG goes topside after that to blow up DHO in the gap, so Jamal back cuts it, and then Mikhail switches to Jamal to deny him the ball, and then switches back to Michael Porter Jr. off the pocket pass to force a turnover underneath the basket. It was just really quick, really seamless and on point. It was like defending on a string. They knew exactly where to be at the time, and it was just a very quick, seamless possession for the Knicks defense. The point of attack defense, when they were in drop, was very good. I thought Mikhail did a nice job fighting over the top and recovering. And so, yeah, like you look into the numbers, and all of a sudden, like we said, the Knicks defense in the last 5 games, really, really good. They're holding opponents to 115 points or less in 4 of those games. And it's been a longer stretch than that where their defense has found it. A much longer stretch than that. But on the season now, they've got their rating to 13th. Their defense is now 13th. That's just 0.9 points per 100 possessions off of the top 10, where Cleveland sits at 10. For as bad as it's felt, the defense is, dare I say, is it becoming good? They're one step closer to becoming a contending defense. They just shut down 3 top 7 offenses. Sacramento held them to 120, and some of that was in garbage time. Memphis 106, and Denver 112. The defense has really started to impress me. And I'm trying to be cautiously optimistic here. But you got to give credit when it's due. This terrible head coach we have, apparently, might know what he's doing. But I mentioned that Jokic defensively was rough. He didn't even want to move out there at times. And the Knicks did a really good job of targeting Jokic and targeting Jamal Murray. They were putting both into action. And both of them were just in a blender all night being hunted. You know, right away, the Knicks put Jokic in foul trouble by targeting him. You know, the first basket for Towns, he goes right at the Joker in drop, and he doesn't move, and Towns gets an and-one finish by him. You know, middle of the first quarter, Brunson comes off a double drag reject, goes right at Jokic in the middle of the paint. Jokic wanted nothing to do with him. Later in the first quarter, you get a Brunson Precious pick and roll. Precious rescreens Jamal Murray out of the action. This forces Jokic to commit to the Brunson drive, which opens up the roll for Precious. Brunson makes the pocket pass to Precious, who finishes at the basket. They were going at both of them in transition. You know, Mikhail had a basket on Jokic. Brunson had that nice in and out move going downhill on Jamal Murray in transition. He had a possession in the half court, middle of the fourth quarter. Brunson gets the Jokic switch off the pick and roll. Denver brings corner help off of Mikhail, so of course Brunson's going to find Mikhail for a corner 3-pointer. Late in the fourth quarter, Brunson gets the Jokic switch again. This time Westbrook brings help off of Cat. Jamal's late in rotation off the help to get to Cat. And now Cat drives the closeout, gets by Jamal, and he also gets right by Jokic for the finish. Just really executing their game plan. They knew exactly what they were doing from the pregame to the end of this game. They executed it perfectly too. And I was just very impressed with that, especially in the second quarter where Towns was on the bench. You know, when Towns isn't on the floor, usually the offense gets stagnant. It's not really as creative. But the Knicks continue to hunt for matchup advantages, and it paid off for them. So I thought that was phenomenal. And it wasn't just like it was just pick and roll into isolation all game. No, the Knicks facilitated. Last night they had an assist rate just below 70%. 33 total assists and only 5 turnovers as a team. And it was Deuce McBride, it was Jalen Brunson, it was Karl-Anthony Towns with some exceptional playmaking. Towns' post playmaking, I mean, we've talked about it all year. When he's an elbow offense, delay offense, he's such a good passer up top. Early in the game, you get a post split action to get Brunson an off-ball look. Cat's got the ball at the top of the key. Brunson's on the ball side wing. McHale's in between both. He slips the screen. Cat hits Brunson for a catch-and-shoot 3. Creating advantages. You had an elbow zoom action with Cat right above the right elbow. OG makes a back cut on Westbrook from the weak side wing. Cat hits OG for a cutting dunk. Brunson all night long making excellent floor reads, especially down the stretch. He had 6 assists in a row in the fourth quarter. He had one to McHale. He had a couple to Josh Hart. I mean, he was just diming. And they were impressive passes. It wasn't just gimmies. It wasn't just simple one pass over. It was like tight window pocket passes. It was really impressive facilitating from Brunson, who finishes with 15 assists to 2 turnovers. And that's why the captain, Jalen Brunson, is getting the game ball for me. Brunson last night, final line, it should say 129, not 119. The date. That's if you're watching. 30 points, 15 assists, 2 turnovers, shot 10 for 16, 3 for 6, 7 for 7 from the foul line, 36 minutes. He now has 16 game balls on the year. Four below Deuce McBride for the team lead. Thought Jalen was great. Again, the playmaking very impressive, especially in that fourth quarter. The 3-point ball is back. Big third quarter, he scored 18 points. He knocked down 2 threes. And the 3-point shots are back for the Knicks. They're starting to knock down their threes again, thankfully. You know, I liked what I saw. I just wish they took more. You know, they still pass up a lot of threes they should be taking, especially in this game early on, the first quarter. You get a lot of passed up open looks, like Brunson, OG, Deuce. Very hesitant where they prefer to drive the closeout, whether they were affected by a late close or a switch that they wanted to drive. Still, I would prefer you get 3-point looks up when you have the open space. But, the team's been knocking them down again in their last 10 games or so. Brunson, in his last 10, is shooting 48% from 3. He knocked down a 3 out of a horns out set in the third quarter last night as a screener. I liked seeing that. You don't really see him. When he's involved in horns, he's usually the ball handler. He's not one of the 2 screeners, but he was one of the screeners who popped to the elbow 3 off of that horns out set. Mikal Bridges in his last 8 is shooting 51% from 3. He also knocked down a 3 out of a horn set. It was a horns fade action that flowed into a ball screen to get him a corner look. Knocked that down in the fourth quarter. OG Anunoby in his last 6 is shooting 50% from 3. A lot of guys starting to come alive from 3. Shamet in his last couple of games, when he has attempted a 3, he's 5 for 9. That's this team. They're a 5-out team who are going to shoot 3s. You just wish they shot more. They need to be getting them up in more volume, which is why you like someone like Campaign, although that shot he took in the fourth quarter last night. Jesus Christ. But, yeah, I mentioned Deuce, and I'm going to give him the game ball from the second unit. Deuce McBride last night. 12 points, couple rebounds, 4 assists, 5 for 9 shooting, 2 of 5 from 3. He was a +9 to lead the second unit. 20 game balls now to lead the Knicks. Very important there at the top of the fourth quarter to save Tom Thibodeau's ass, where both Towns and Brunson were off while Jokic and Jamal Murray were on the floor. And the Knicks came out with a positive net in those minutes, and that was because of Deuce McBride. He knocked down a few big baskets. Campaign also took a charge there at the end. Good minutes, but Deuce McBride was huge in the early minutes of that fourth quarter. So that's really all I got. Quick episode, but we're going to keep this thing rolling. Very proud to see this Knicks team start to put some things together. And like I said, I was never worried as far as the regular season goes. I think whenever the Knicks lose a couple of games, this is what the fan base does best, right? They want everybody fired. They want everybody traded. They want everybody benched. They want this guy to get more minutes. That's how this works. It's whatever every fan base does. But this is what we were all waiting for. We were waiting for the Knicks to get some wins against tough competition like this. So these last couple of wins in particular, really super impressive. And it's not going to get easier. Boston's coming up in a few weeks. But before that, more recently, you got 2 more games left on this homestand to begin the month of February, where you have the Lakers on Saturday the 1st, and then the Houston Rockets on Monday the 3rd. That wraps up your homestand. But January is over, where the Knicks finish 9-5, meaning they were 4-5 to start the month. So they finish on a 5-game streak. They now have 2 days off. They have today and tomorrow before they go back out there Saturday night. I think it's an 8:30 game against the Lakers, who are playing better. But that's a team the Knicks need to be. And I'm really going to be circling that Houston game on Monday. That's a top seed. It's a team that's beaten the Knicks already this year because they've got a great defense with an excellent point of attack defender. And that's a team that can switch very effectively. So the Knicks are going to have to counter that, use their weak side actions, use their outlets. So I'm going to be intrigued to watch that game. The Lakers, the Knicks need to take care of them. Those days where LeBron comes in and dominates at the Garden are over. So make sure to win that game. So we're going to head to our final break here. And when we get back in a few minutes, we'll wrap it up with our trivia question, and that's going to be that. Let's do that. We'll be right back. Hey guys, just a quick reminder, this podcast is also available in video format on YouTube. So be sure to go over to the YouTube channel, BD4, subscribe, like the videos, comment and tell me how much I suck or maybe how much you like the video. We'd very much appreciate it. Don't have time to sit down and watch a video? You can listen to BD4 on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Don't forget to give us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts. And you can also watch the video format on Spotify too. If you feel like supporting the podcast, you can Venmo at Robert-Carbone-JR-28. We really appreciate your support. Do you enjoy Yankees baseball but are tired of hearing me yap? I have a suggestion for you. Go check out Yankee Crazy Podcast. Greg Gill is a Yankees podcaster on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. and he's now selling merch. Go to yankeecrazy.myshopify.com. Stay connected with us. Visit BD4blog.com to explore our blog, tune in to our latest podcasts, and follow us on social media. Thank you for being a part of this community. All right, welcome back to the show, episode 793 of the podcast. I'm your host, RJ Carbo. The Knicks pushed their win streak to 5. Definitely more impressive than their 9-gamer about a month ago or so. So yeah, man, it was good to win that game. I don't have much else to add. That was a fun win. That was, again, they're starting to pile up to where you're finding new best games of the season every night now. You know, it was the Atlanta game, then it was the Memphis game. Some people can make a case that it was last night's game. So that's again, that was another one. We haven't even pointed out that Atlanta game. That was a team the Knicks had been struggling with the first 2 games of the year. But they you know, the Brunson figured out that Dyson Daniels matchup. And so the Knicks now starting to patch up some holes from earlier in the year. You know, and as the season goes on, the team's going to continue to build, and you hope that they can build themselves up to a point to where eventually this season they can make a shot to come out of the Eastern Conference here. So that's why I'm kind of like holding in my excitement, because I want to see what they look like against Boston, because let's be honest, ultimately that's most likely the team they're going to have to get past if they're fortunate enough to make it that far. Damn, I just wish they beat that OKC team. Even if they won the first one, I would have, been fine with that second game going the way it did. But the fact that they were 0-2 against them and they got blown out. But again, you got to rebuild yourself. And the Knicks have been doing a nice job building back up since that game. I believe they're 7-2. So they've kind of been making a statement. So good win. With that said, we're going to wrap it up with our trivia question. Let's get to it. All right. So for this episode, our trivia question of the day. So Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns just recently got selected to the NBA All-Star game. How many Knicks have been All-Stars prior to this season? 50, 75, 100, or 115? How many Knicks have been All-Stars prior to this season? 50, 75, 100, 115. Let me know the answer wherever you can reach me. If you get the answer correct, I'll give you a shout out in the next episode. That's it, everybody. I appreciate you all tuning in, as always, and I will see you in the next episode of BD4, where we talk Knicks Lakers. If you haven't checked out our recent Yankees episodes, we've been talking some New York Yankees offseason lately. Go check those out. Those are up on the on all the platforms. Apple, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. So if you're a Yankees fan, definitely check those out. We gave our thoughts on Hal and Boone yesterday, on them speaking to the media. We've been giving our thoughts about the offseason, about what they should do, what they did do. A lot of that stuff. We basically covered everything. We did some projections. So a lot of good stuff on the podcast, and a lot more good stuff coming up. So be sure to stay tuned. Folks, that's it. Appreciate you all tuning in. I'll see you very soon. Well, if you made it this far, that means you listened to or watched the entire episode. Thank you. just remember to follow, subscribe, download, rate and review, and all that fun stuff to help out the podcast. And I will see you in the next episode of BD4.